morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome. It's a joy. It's a joy to have you here with us.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome back. This is day five of the film premiere, Where Olive Trees Weep, and the accompanying conversation that we'll be holding for 21 days.
Yes.
So thank you for those who are tuning in for the first time, and thank you for those who are coming back. We'll be here every day. My name is Zaya Benazzo.
My name is Maurizio Benazzo. We are talking to you from the unceded territory, or the coastal Miwok and South Pomo, which is in colonial word is called Sebastopol, California.
And yeah, we've been receiving incredible feedback on the film. It almost feels surreal that we're here and that the world is watching the movie. We would have never thought about that this would be possible 2 years ago. Sadly, because of what's happening in Gaza, I think more people are open to learn, to receive, to feel. And that's what we're hearing. The film is helping people to actually feel, for us to feel with our hearts what's happening. So today we have a very incredibly powerful panel conversation and very important topic.
Yes.
Verses of Defiance, Poetry as a Tool of Resistance. And Ashira, who doesn't need any more introduction, I think Ashira, so many people already know who you are, and you've become already, you've been always a leader, but
in this moment,
in this
here
community,
now,
you're well known.
Here. Yeah, everybody loves you.
Ashira will be facilitating the conversation. Yes. Please come and help us introduce the guests.
Hi, everyone. Salam alaikum. Glad to be here with you, and I'm excited for this conversation. Let me introduce you to our beautiful poets. Farah Chamma is a Palestinian poet and performer. Farah is known for her spoken word performances in which she combines orality, acting, and live music. She's participated in many different events and festivals around the world, including Palestine, France, Germany, UK, Karma Film Festival in Jordan, Portugal, Mexico, and Holland, and many more. In February 2021, she and Brazilian music producer Liv launched Camelon. I hope I'm saying that right. A poetry and electronic music duo. Besides her native Arabic, she also writes and performs in English and French. She holds a master's degree in performance and culture from Goldsmith, University of London, and a BA in philosophy and sociology from Sorbonne. She's currently based in São Paulo. Thank you so much, Farah, for being with us today, and looking forward to hearing the poetry. We're also blessed to have Mariam Barghouti. Mariam is an a Palestinian-American researcher, journalist. She's based in Ramallah. She holds a BA in English from Birzeit University and an MS in sociology from the University of Edinburgh. She has focused on where she focused on Israeli, Ashkenazi, Mizrahi racial hierarchies. Barghouti is known for monitoring humanitarian aid in Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and Palestine for various organizations. Her political commentary and research has featured prominently in CNN, Al Jazeera, The Guardian, BBC, New York Times, and more. She has contributed to books like I Found Myself in Palestine and written profiles of Palestinian figures such as artist Khalid Hourani and politician Dr. Hanan Ashrawi. Mariam is also a very good friend, and I'm so happy to see her with us today. Mariam is not feeling very well, and despite that, she's here with us. So thank you for your presence, Mariuma. And we are supposed to have our beautiful guest, also speaker, Dareen Tatour. Dareen is currently in the hospital. We're unsure if she can join or not, but hopefully she'll be able to join at some point. And Dareen is a Palestinian poet, playwright, photographer, and political feminist and social media activist. Tatour was born in the village of Rene, Nazareth, and considers the Arab town of Rene her home. She completed her studies in engineering, programming, media, and film direction. Through her writing and photography, Tatour has sought to highlight the injustices Palestinians face and particularly encourage Palestinian women to speak of their experiences facing and overcoming abuse and human rights violations. Inshallah, Dareen will be able to join us. Dareen was arrested for her poems in 2015 by the Israeli authorities, and she's currently also under surveillance and scrutiny by the Israeli authorities for anything she writes and speaks. And as I say that, I would like to pass the mic to you ladies to tell us a little bit about, first of all, just how are your hearts feeling today? How are you doing in the situation that we're currently in? And I know as poets, this also touches you deeply. Can you, Farah, start us off and tell us how you're feeling?
Hey, I make more noises these days than words. Things like that all the time. Yeah, I mean, it's about tuning in as much as we can to the collective. The heart is struggling to feel, to be present and active, and then also loving. And then the mind is, you know, has so many tabs opened. Instagram is just becoming the place, which is weird in itself, makes you trip, like, what the hell am I doing there? Why am I'm there and I want to be intentionally there, but then I'm not. And then it's this process, and then going out on the streets when we can, and then writing when we can, and then also not, you know, resisting the voices that say, what's the use? What's this poem going to do? Yeah, and I think that this heart in particular is trying to cultivate love, and not let the bitterness seep into the day-to-day, and in the love circles, in the family, because it's all becoming, because when there's this much ugliness, it seeps in so easily. And this has been this process of, no, you don't come in here. I see you, I get you, I acknowledge you, I will fight you, but I will not let you seep into the beauty. Yeah, so this is my heart. It's doing well though. I'm happy to be here. I want to be here. The film is so beautiful, so powerful, and also very provocative in a way. It made, I mean, we'll talk more, but I watched it so many times. I think the directors thought that my email was hacked because I watched it, shared it with friends. They thought I'm, you know, a virus sneaked into my computer, but no, it was just me sitting with the film, sitting with Ashira and with all the beautiful people and images and poetry in the film. So I think I'm really want to be here, and I also want to be here to thank you for all this beautiful work, despite all the ugliness.
Thank you, Farah. We're honored to have you. And Habubati, Mariuma.
Habibti Ashira, I'm so happy to be here to also kind of just be part of these labors of revolution and love, right? How is the heart? Farah, thank you for leading us with that. All I can think of is Ya Hay, you know, the alive one. Ya Hay. I've been just putting my palm on my heart a lot and just saying that. I think our hearts are growing. They are being provoked, which falls in line again, as Farah said, with the film. And more than this is, you know, we're being stimulated during this period. We're being pushed to think beyond our borders and our boundaries, or beyond the confines of what we know. And this is, you know, I think part of Palestine and the liberation movement, and I'm going to bring it back to, you know, the everything that's happening now in terms of the heartache, in terms of the pain, is we are in a liberation moment. We are in a moment of liberation, right? And liberation is not always pleasant. It's not always easy. And it's certainly not a beautiful moment, but we fight so we can earn that beautiful moment, right? And I think, yeah, the hearts are kind of having to deal with a lot, but we're building community through it. And with that, you're no longer just you and yourself, you are the entire community. And our well-being is truly connected with the entire community. So I kind of try to bring that back in with myself every time my heart feels low. And that it's tied. So I give as much as I can, and I trust someone's giving as much as they can in different moments. And it's kind of this tag team. But that's, yeah, how my heart is as well.
Thank you, Habiba. Well, let's talk a little bit about how it's been. Well, we know very well that it's been always and not since October 7th. The censorship, the control, the restriction on breath and the restriction on words. I feel blessed to be able to now speak out. And I told Zion Maritu, I'm going to come out just so I can shout and say what I need to say without being scared that I will get arrested and separated from my family. How has it been, this experience of censorship? How does it affect the way you write? I'll start with you, Mariume.
Thank you. So I am sick, and if I speak a little bit too slow or too fast, just ping me, let me know. But in terms of censorship, I remember when Dareen was arrested in 2015, and it was really over a line in her poem that was "Resist, my people, resist." And I want to laugh right now because that sounds ridiculous, right? The nuclear state arrested a poet for that specific line, but it's very real. I mean, Israel has sustained itself by negating the Palestinian, by also negating the right to resist, not even in practice, but the entire idea. We couldn't even imagine it. We couldn't even talk about it because we risk prison. I feel highly censored in Palestine. I was just in Chicago for a short trip, and I felt more free in terms of being able to talk because I was outside than here when, the soldiers or even the Palestinian Authority can come knocking on our doors and arresting us for things we said that would either tarnish their image or really expose what they're doing, because that's all we're doing. We're just exposing. We're unearthing what they tried to dig so deeply into history. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm scared. Every single time I'm speaking publicly, I'm terrified. We're smiling and we're trying to push through it, but at the same time, we're calculating in our head which words to say, right? Like, I personally don't believe in the right of Israel to exist. But even saying that out loud, I have to calculate, because as a colonial entity and regime and a psychopathic one at that, it's likely a very sensitive one. So it would go to lethal lengths to truly silence someone for their words. They are willing to put a bullet in someone's head for their words. So the censorship is very real, but that's only because language and communication is all we have to connect. And like I said, our hearts are becoming more and more linked in community. So having to defy that, I remember when Dareen, she kept writing after that, even though now I'm sure she lives in a very terrified state because nobody's talking about Palestinians with Israeli citizenship, even though they're being attacked and assaulted in the same fashion that fits Israel's overarching goal of erasing us. They don't care if we are in Jaffa or in Jerusalem or in Deir al-Balah or in Tul Karam. They don't want us at all. And that makes sense because the only way that Israel can exist is by negating the very graves that it's building itself on top of. So censorship is real. It is the first weapon used against us, because in censorship, there is the negation of an entire existence of a population, and there's a prioritization of one voice over the other. And this is why, culture and film are so important. This is why our ways of expression are so important. This is why this film is important, because you're rupturing the way people think, and you're pushing them and making them see different modes of being, different realities that are being experienced, other than the one that was prioritized and highlighted as the one experience, which is the Israeli experience in mainstream media and in the making of films and in the making of any cultural expression, really. And then poetry, and I'll end on this note, but poetry is so powerful, I think, because it allows you to condense so many experiences into one. Farah was saying, I'm just making sound. Yeah, because, you know, and in poetry, a lot of it is the words of a sigh. You know, it's like, and then you write. And out of that writing comes, you know, the pain, the catharsis, the experiences that you can't really put in coherent sentences or in paragraphs or in a book. It's just one poem, but somehow it tackles so much. So yeah, I mean, I hope that kind of sheds a little bit light, but without also delving too much into the banalities of it.
Thank you, Mariam. That was great. Farah, can you tell me about, if you want to lead us with a poem, we'd also be happy whenever you feel you want to read us. That would be great. And also, I want you to highlight what you're doing with bringing the voices of poets from Gaza. And that's defying the censorship in an amazing way, bringing their voices right now from under the rubble.
Yeah, I think I would like to start with that, like with some poems from the poets of Gaza. Because to me, I mean, I've been going on stage and feeling like, I mean, when I go through a small catastrophe in my personal life and I write something about it, I share it with everybody. And I just put myself for a second in Gaza as a poet, looking at this and saying, the poetry in this, what would come out and how I would want to share that, how I would want to, you know, name the monster, look at God, ask what God is and what the rubble is, and so, and then I found Gaza Passages. It's a collective project on Instagram, but I think they also have a website, if I'm not mistaken. But they have been just finding the poems written on Twitter, on social media, and then translating them into different languages: English, French, Italian, Spanish. And then I found these and immediately saw the urgency in them. And as you said, Mariam, poems condense and they are charged energetically and they summarize fact without maybe even stating any fact, but they have that power. So I will start by, I think I will do it in both Arabic and English. They're short. I'll start by a poem by Hind Jawdat, a poet from Al Brej refugee camp. And I'll read it first in English and then in Arabic. What does it mean to be a poet in times of war? It means apologizing, extensively apologizing, to the burned trees, to the nestless birds, to the crushed homes, to the long cracks along the streets, to the pale-faced children before and after death, to the faces of every sad or murdered mother. من جودة. ماذا يعني أن تكون شاعراً في زمن الحرب؟ هذا يعني أن تعتذر، أن تكثر من الاعتذار للأشجار المحترقة، للعصافير التي بلا أعشاش، للبيوت المسحوقة، لشقوق طويلة في خاصرة الشوارع، للأطفال الشاحبين قبل الموت وبعده، ولوجه كل أم حزينة أو مقتولة. انجودت. I will do another one. By Hiba Abu Nada. Hiba Abu Nada from Khan Yunis, who was martyred by the Israelis in her home. Entire family trees have fallen, not people nor branches. The tree collapses with everyone in it, and Gaza transforms into a wasteland, a wide open graveyard stretching from the doorstep of the Arab League to the podium of the United Nations. شجر العائلات يتساقط كاملا، لا أفرادا ولا فروعا. تهوي الشجرة بكل من فيها بشكل مفجع، وغزة تتحول إلى يباب. المدينة مقبرة مفتوحة ممتدة من عتبة الجامعة العربية حتى منبر الأمم المتحدة. May she rest in power. هبة أبو ندى.
Thank you, Farah. That was powerful. Trying to breathe.
جد.
Allah yarhamah.
الله يرحمه.
And Farah, how do you feel? Like, do you feel bardo, sorry. Do you feel that poetry also is your own healing? You know, this film talks about healing and about community and being together. How do you feel? Is it also a tool, this tool of expression? How does it heal your heart? We talked about the heart. Does it give you an outlet?
فلتتجلى فيك روحي فلتتجلى فيك سمائي. So this is probably one of my favorite moments in the film. Like, yeah, like tears, like يخرب ذوقك يا عشيرة. شفتي عشيرة بتعملي في الواحد انت مشكلة. بس yeah, I mean, to me it's connecting to the source, and the source that is bigger than the fear, bigger than the fear of prison, bigger than the fear of losing things. And whenever I connect to that source, I'm not as scared anymore. Like, I personally connected to the Quranic text so much. It's been more than a year that I felt like I need this language in particular. It's what I grew up. It's my power. I have resorted to different forms of spirituality in different languages, and then I'm like, and there was a rejection of this text because of upbringing. And I mean, we all know the story of how we find Abrahamic religions nauseating. It's very easy. But then when I reclaimed my Abrahamic religion in my own way, I connected to the Quranic text so in ways of chanting, in ways of reading out loud, in ways of even opening a set on stage with Quranic verses. Like, it's been so powerful to me. And I love the confrontation of Moses with Pharaoh. You know, the verses, the Quranic verses that say, ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. And then Moses admitting his fear to God, Moses and his brother, and then God saying, لا تخافا إنني معكما أسمع وأرى. And that just opens something in me, and I say, there's Pharaoh, whatever I'm scared of right now, whether it being I've never been to Palestine, by the way. This was not, I'd never performed in Palestine, Ashira, like you said, Palestine, not yet. It will happen.
So
It's not yet, but I have fear of going there. Anytime I go to Egypt, I'm scared. Anytime I'm invited to Amman, I'm scared to perform. I was brought up in the Emirates, where there is so much censorship, always has been in different ways, and now even more. And I opened on different stages where I am very scared to perform with Quranic verses about confronting Pharaoh and not being scared, because there is a bigger power with me, and I hold this power, and I walk and I walk very strong with it, but I don't remember it every day. I have days where I don't connect to the source anymore, and I'm in my story, in my, afraid for my life, afraid for my family, and so it's a constant struggle. And to me, the Audre Lorde questionnaire is brilliant. Maybe we could send a link. It's everywhere if you just type the Audre Lorde questionnaire, and of course connecting the Palestinian struggle to the global struggle, the global resistance, and going back to the civil rights movement, and just remembering all these powerful voices. The Audre Lorde questionnaire about what are the injustices that you swallow every day, what are you afraid to lose, what are the words that you are not saying. So I also, thank you, Mariam, for that, but I also believe that Israel does not have the right to exist as a state at all. And to say that and not blink an eye, and to say this oppressor will have to go. This oppressor is not sustainable for anybody, humanly, it's not sustainable. So to say these things and to not be scared, and to know there's a power with us that is bigger, and it doesn't have to be called God, but it's the source. It's the collective also. It's the collective power. And what I felt in this film, when I watched this film, I felt this is a language that I feel. This is why I want to be here, because I saw that fearlessness, I saw that connection to the source in your eyes, Ashira, in Ahid Tamimi's eyes, in the eyes of many people, even though those beautiful shots in the film, oh my God, the film, I never saw a documentary film where people would be talking and then there's this shot that just captures what's being said in a very, very smooth way. So to me, this is the power. This is how I believe censorship is fought, by transcending it. You transcend it, and then it's less. But we all need to find what that source is for us. And to me, it's reclaiming things. And to me, the Arabic language has been also another tool for me as a poet. I've mainly been writing in Palestinian Mahki, colloquial Arabic. The past 3 years, I've only been writing in Palestinian Arabic, and I know all my poems by heart, and I just sit there and and just feels like Palestine is alive in everything I do. So to me, these are other ways also of dealing with censorship, because you feel you reclaim things that are more powerful than that person that is afraid of being in trouble, because you feel like you're bigger than that person. But to do that needs work, and this has been the process. So yes, it is definitely, the healing is in the process of writing. The healing is in that. Yeah.
it's also in receiving it. When Anna, for me, it's also about sitting and listening to music. And before I used to go to protests, Mariam knows this, when we used to go out together, I have a playlist called Pre-Protest. And I would sit and listen to music that makes me feel fearless, and strengthen my heart, so that I can go in. And chanting in the protests was my way of making sure that the momentum and everybody's morale stays up no matter what they do to us, we just keep breathing and chanting and being able to transcend the fear. Thank you for that, Farah. Mariume, is she still with us?
She left,
I think we lost.
I think we lost
See
Mariam.
again. She might be back.
I wanted to read a poem from Dareen. She sent us from the hospital. Her book of poetry. She's just published a book about when we're talking about this, speaking about Gaza. And the name of her poetry book is A Balcony Over a City Engulfed by War, Dareen Tatour. And I'm gonna try to read one of the verses that doesn't put her at risk. A raid that hits the target. Army spokesman to broadcaster. We have just targeted a terrorist headquarters. The people of the Zaytun neighborhood are running, screaming, in fear. A raid, there's a raid. A huge explosion was heard. Children's body parts flew against the walls of Al Ahli Arab Hospital. Silence. A woman screamed while holding the pieces of her children. Where's the consciousness of the world? Where are the human rights? Where's the United Nations? My eyes filled with tears and I felt my heart stop. I answered her with regret. Don't tire yourself out with this screaming. As long as we don't have blue eyes and white skin, they won't stop this genocide against us. For 75 years, we have been screaming, and what we have received is more silence, killing, and injustice. Steadfastness. He tried to hold out longer and maintain his stance with a stone in his hand to continue the confrontation with the soldiers, but a sniper's bullet struck his body and overwhelmed his determination. He fell at the apartheid wall, and before he took his last breath, he soaked his fingers in the blood of his wound and wrote on the wall, "I will stay here." I'll let it sink.